Alright people, so I just wanted to cover an article from the Huffington Compost about, I was on there, I don't think I was on there, I was on Yahoo. Sometimes Yahoo, they link articles on their channel, and sometimes they link some decent articles. So I saw this one from the Huffington Compost, the message Kroger doesn't want you to hear. And basically they just promote, they just talk about how this group, this communist group, what's it called? I don't know what, it's like moms or something, moms against guns or whatever. But I think I'm gonna read the whole article here. It's not too long. If you just type in the title to Google, Huffington Compost or Huffington Post. I mean, that's what it's really called. But I mean, we all know it's a Huffington Compost. So type into Google Huffington Post, the message Kroger doesn't want you to hear, and you could find it. Or if I remember, I will put it in the description. But let me start off reading here. For months, moms have called on Kroger. Moms Demand Action, that's the name of it. Moms have called on Kroger to make a safer and more family-friendly shopping environment by prohibiting the open carry of firearms in its stores, just as brands including Target, Starbucks, and Panera have done. So right there, I mean, it's pretty fucking wrong right there. First paragraph, they say, it's been shown that when there's guns, there's less violent crime. We can actually protect ourselves. It's been shown that all these big gun murders, the most gun murders happen in gun control zones, where there's the most gun control. Look at schools. All these shootings that happen at schools where no guns are allowed. I mean, so there you go. I mean, so why do they think that taking the guns away is going to prevent gun murders? If you really wanted to murder a person, do you think that you're going to pay attention to a little petty gun law by a store? No, you're going to fucking ignore it. So, I mean, if you really wanted to hide a gun, I mean, if you wanted to mass murder somebody in Kroger, mass murder people in Kroger, you could. A gun law is not gonna. What are they? They're got their fucking guns. They're gonna walk up to Kroger and see the sign, "No guns allowed." Do you think they're gonna turn and walk away? No, they don't care about that sign. But if we have people armed there with guns, do you think they're gonna go there to commit the murder? Or do you think they're gonna go find another place where there's no guns allowed? They're gonna go to the place where there's no guns allowed because they don't want to get shot and killed. See, if there's actually people armed there with guns, then they could quite possibly take that person out before he kills 20 people. Maybe he doesn't kill anybody, or maybe he only kills a few. So that's the point of having guns. Instead of meeting with us and reconsidering any responsible policy, Kroger's leadership has refused to listen. They have pressured radio stations to reject their ads and relocated their annual investor meeting to avoid interacting with customers. Just imagine how much easier it would have been if they would have talked to us. Now that I kind of disagree with. I get their point that that they're a big corporation. They don't want to pay attention to this, too much. I mean, but I probably would have at least talked to them. They seemed like a legitimate group. I actually sent the person an email who runs. I went to the Contact Us page on their website, Moms Demand Action. And I actually sent her an email. Who funds you? I was wondering, are there any corporations or do you get any federal funding? I sent that like 4 or 5 days ago, maybe 3, 4, 5 days ago. I have not gotten a response, unfortunately. So, but anyway, I probably would have talked to them. I mean, ignoring people isn't the way to go. I probably would have talked to them, told them why guns are available or why guns are allowed in our stores. This week, Kroger executives and investors met in Cincinnati, and I was there along with dozens of Moms Demand Action volunteers from neighboring states to make it as easy as possible for Kroger leadership to meet with us on an issue. See, they're meeting with their investors, so they're not. I don't think they're going to take time to meet with you guys because they seem pretty busy already. So they're kind of associating meeting with these Moms Demand Action with so they're not, like, the moms again, the main action, they don't want to meet with us. Well, I think they're busy meeting with their investors, it seems like. But I don't know, I'm not there. Let's see, to make it as easy as possible for Kroger leadership to meet with us on an issue that women and mothers can't care about more than anything, the safety of our families. See, they always take an issue like that. They say, oh, it's about the safety of our families. When, guns are, they kill people. But again, it's not the guns that kill people, it's the people that kill people. So they say, oh, it's about the safety of our, see, they always say it's about the safety of our children. It's been shown that children get murdered in gun-free zones. So it's just kind of a contradicting statement right there. But rather than agree to a meeting, Kroger bullied radio stations into pulling our ads, highlighting the absurdity of their gun policy. I guess they had some ads. I don't know if I actually watched them. They like call Kroger, and there's some person on the phone, and they're like, oh, you could bring in guns, but you can't bring in a pet or a toy. And I can understand that. You don't want to bring in pets because you don't want them shitting all over the place and shit. So I can understand that, and they don't want you to bring in scooters, and so it's totally kind of logical. So they're kind of taking it's kind of a stupid comparison there. And this week, Kroger bussed its investors out of the hotel where they were planning to meet into an alternate location, probably to avoid the rally of mothers and customers we had organized to spark a conversation with them. Yeah, they don't want their fucking investors being bothered by these protesters, so that's kind of understandable, I think, there. Evidently, Kroger is growing uncomfortable with their gun policy, and frankly, they should be. Kroger is siding with the gun extremists. So if we support the Second Amendment, if we support the Constitution, if we support Army people to defend themselves against government and criminals, then we're gun extremists. Gun extremists, that's fucking retarded right there. So see, they say, oh, if you follow the Second Amendment, you're an extremist. That's the total mindset that these communists have. Rather than, let me just start over here. Kroger is siding with the gun extremists rather than mothers, gun violence survivors, and the majority of Kroger shoppers who support ending open carry in Kroger stores. You see, if those a lot of those gun violence survivors had guns, then they would have been able to stop the murder, or maybe been able to stop the crime from happening in the first place. So that's the point of the Second Amendment. Moms refuse to be silenced. The ads that made Kroger so nervous are nothing more than recordings of Kroger employees reiterating Kroger's policy, which is to prohibit children's toys and household pets in the name of customer safety, but to allow anyone to openly carry loaded firearms even though no permit, training, or background check is required to do so in most states. See, that's where they're wrong there. There should not be a background check or a registration to own a firearm, because you don't have to register or you don't have to get a background check to free speech or any other of our civil liberties. So if they start saying, oh, you need to get background checks and shit, then that turns the right of owning a gun into a privilege. Instead of working with us to make stores safer, Kroger has cited politicians' inaction to regulate open carry to justify their own stubborn refusal to institute a policy that does more than force employees and customers into a position where they must guess whether the armed individual in the frozen food aisle poses a threat to customers. You see, going by that philosophy, anybody could really pose a threat to fucking people. Because if you wanted to murder people, you wouldn't go about waving your gun all over the place before you murdered somebody. You would hide it. So if you made guns illegal in Kroger, then if they wanted to commit a murder in Kroger, they would hide their guns. Where was I? How are moms shopping with children expected to know the difference between an activist and a threat to our families? You see, they could all be threats to our families. That's what they don't understand. Arm yourselves then if you're scared. That's the point of the Second Amendment, to protect yourselves against criminals. In the majority of states, it is completely legal to open carry a loaded gun in public without any training, permitting, or a background check. In some states, there isn't even an age requirement to open carry a loaded firearm. That's why open carry poses a unique risk to the public. That's why we want Kroger to act just as so many other major companies have done, and 83% of Kroger shoppers agreed. Kroger is well within their rights to stop open carry. Of course they have the right to stop open carry. When I founded Moms Demand Action the day after the tragic shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary, I knew that it would, again, look at all these school shootings and shootings that happens in gun control free zones. Look at that guy that went out and stabbed like 20 people. I remember he went out and stabbed 20 people in some Pittsburgh school or something like that. And did the security guard have a gun? No, he didn't. He was unarmed. So if he would have had a gun, he could have taken that guy out before he could have stabbed all those people. When I founded Moms Demand Action the day after the tragic shooting at Sandy Hook, I knew that it would be a long run towards gun safety. Since then, millions of Americans have joined the fight. That's wrong. And we will continue to be relentless whenever we feel the safety of our children is threatened. Kroger customers deserve to be heard, and moms won't stop until we get the change we need. You see there, she's wrong that, somehow that gun control is becoming more popular. It's actually come out in a lot of polls that people's support for the Second Amendment, America's citizens' support for the Second Amendment is at record highs. So there you go, Moms Demand Action in your fucking faces. And you see, they associate loose gun control with more murders. It is a fact that America is a violent society. We do violent video games, violent movies, violent TV shows. We are a very violent society, probably we are the most violent in the world. That's not because we have guns, it's because of our culture and what we watch on TV and what we do in our lives. You see, if you take away guns, you're still going to have a ton of gun murders, because taking away guns isn't going to take away all guns. It's just going to take guns away from law-abiding citizens and put them in the hands of criminals who don't follow the laws. And if you look at a country like Switzerland, who has very loose gun control, they only have about 30 gun murders a year. 20 to 30, I think it was. It's a very low number. See, Piers Morgan always, Britain has 35 gun murders a year. Well, so does Switzerland, and they have loose gun control. And people can actually defend themselves, and they have some of the lowest crime rates in the world there. So there you go, Moms Demand Action. Keep promoting and also, I forgot the most important reason why we need guns, to protect against a tyrannical government. Because if they said in the Declaration of Independence, if government gets too tyrannical, it's our right to overthrow it and create a new one, or change it, or alter it. So that's why we need guns, to protect against criminal governments and to protect against them, because history has shown that governments get tyrannical, and governments have killed 262 million people via democide in the 20th century, and that doesn't count murders and war. That doesn't count wars. So that's why we need guns, Moms Demand Action. Keep promoting your communist ideas. See, they say, oh, we need it for the poor little children. It's liberal. When in reality, it's just a communist fascist idea. So there you go, people. I mean, see, they take an issue and they call it, it's liberal, when it's actually communist. A lot of these ideas that they call liberal ideas are just communist ideas. I'm a true liberal in some issues. I'm classical liberal. This isn't real liberalism. This is communist liberalism. Classical liberalism would be for the Second Amendment, would be for closing the borders. So there you go, people. Continue to attack all these communist people who just push for gun control. They think they're fighting for a good cause, but they're just brainwashed by the mainstream media and the government who wants to disarm us. Go read State Document 7277, where it talks about disarming all the people and only putting the guns in the hands of the United Nations for the good of quote, the good of the world. Yeah, go read that, people. They're always like, oh, we don't want to take them all away. When it's been, when we've seen Obama actually praise the Australian total gun ban. We've seen Dianne Feinstein come out and say, I would take away all the guns. So, I mean, they're clearly trying to take away all the guns. Just go read State Document 7277, where it talks about that. So there you go, people. Fuck the Huffington Compost, fuck Ariana Huffington, and fuck this Moms Demand Action, because they are trying to disarm us and turn us into a third world country where we can't defend against a tyrannical government like Barack Obama or fucking George Bush. Those are some high-class dictators and tyrants right there. So there you go, people.